And we're live. Ta-da. Ta-da.
Wow.
We're back.
I don't hear the fan as much.
We're
Did you do
back.
something?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Just kidding.
My headphones feel looser this time around for whatever reason.
So interesting. Tell me more.
I don't know. Getting used to this whole thing. Maybe my face is just broken.
Your face is definitely broken.
Yeah. We've known this. It's okay. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Today was a good day.
Today was a good day. It was weird.
Yeah.
Seeing my parents and not being able to shake their hand or give my mom a
Give 'em a
hug
hug.
for her birthday.
I think
Happy birthday, Mom, by the way.
Happy birthday, Carrie. I think that was the first time ever that I have not said hello to your parents and not hugged them. Unless your dad is like... Actually, no, not even. I feel like every single hello and goodbye there was a hug.
Yeah, it's a pretty ritualistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw, was it Rogan posted
I saw that too.
the handshake thing?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if people didn't shake hands anymore? What would handshakes be replaced with, realistically? You know what I mean?
I just have a chest bump. That'd be so goofy. Can you imagine like businessmen? And like Tony, Dan.
Just chest bumping like football players.
No, I really don't know. How can you not shake hands?
Yeah, no, it's just it's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
I don't know the origin or its history or why we do it, where it's from. But
I don't either.
I just thought of. Have you ever seen Narnia? Or the Witch in the Wardrobe?
No.
You've never seen that movie?
You had it on a couple months ago, but I never watched it.
Oh, it's such a good movie. The first time Lucy, who's obviously a human, goes into Narnia, she meets a faun called
Tumnus?
yeah.
I know.
And the
I
first
know
time
this anyway.
the first time they meet, Lucy sticks out her hand to say hello. And he goes, "What do you do with it?" And she goes, "Oh, you shake it." And he goes, "Why?" She goes, "I don't know." It's very funny. So the tongue goes like this to the hand. Anyway.
That's funny.
Probably a fist
Just
bump,
grabs the fingers.
right?
Fist bumps are cool.
Or like an elbow thing. What if people just made
elbows,
handshakes? But like, come on, a fist bump and then like an elbow, like that'd be pretty dope.
I disagree completely, but
They're falling off me.
never floats your boat, man.
It is so much different talking without those headphones on.
Mm-hmm. Quite. It's much better with the headphones.
There is so much more distraction without the headphones on. I can hear the fan more. You're just less in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how much of a difference they make.
It's actually pretty wild. Pretty.
Yeah, because you're in my
crazy.
you're in my ear,
Mm-hmm.
in my head.
Was it the voice of who you're talking to is as loud as your own voice, pretty much? Because what you're hearing is the audio that's going to be on the podcast.
Having troubles.
It's pretty cool.
That's better.
I like
Okay. Yeah, they were a good purchase
it. Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Shout out to my friend Bruce. He's from Wuhan.
Shut up. You're not funny.
He's from somewhere in China. I don't know where, but that's okay. Yeah, I wonder where handshakes did come from. Because it's such a... I don't know, like... I can't imagine what else you would replace it with? Like, there's something about the physical touch that is like establishes trust in some way, and like, you know what I mean?
It depends on the handshake for sure.
Yes,
You can
but
communicate
generally
different
touching
things.
each other, like the physical touch, for the same reason that I imagine, like, babies spend time on their father's chest and not just with their mom. Like, the physical touch, it has some kind of bond building,
Probably.
yeah, in your brain on some subconscious level.
I don't
It
know.
must be. But I don't know. It's very
I don't
weird.
know if that. I don't know. That's interesting.
To a different degree, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
But you get what I'm saying. From a high level.
The Maori people.
The who?
Maori, native New Zealand.
Okay.
I forget the name of the greeting, but it's their handshake. You okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
They put their foreheads and noses together, so they're like this, and they say hello.
Like, they touch their foreheads and noses? Really?
And I want to say there's like you put your hand on the other person's cheek, or something. It's very intimate. That's how they say hello.
It sounds it. Coronavirus must have spread like crazy there.
They're beautiful people. I'm sure they stopped doing that once.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's I wonder, like, what the new norm's gonna be. Not just with
There isn't gonna.
greetings and handshakings, but the new norm after coronavirus subsides. Like,
I think it's interesting that people are saying a new norm.
well, I mean,
It's just.
I don't mean like we're gonna live in this crazily different world, but there's going to be some kind of a difference with having all this happened. Like what was the new norm after 9/11? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like
airport security and a large prejudice.
right, so you might have those kinds of things in regards to diseases, and not like large securities in terms of new defense and taking, pandemics more seriously. Pandemic security, national health security. I don't know.
Fucking hope so. It's terrifying.
We don't need to get back into the whole mask thing, obviously, but goddamn, it's just like there's that, but what else is there? Is there do you have like backup medical staff now? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what changes are gonna come about after this thing is over. 'Cause things will be different in some regard.
Oh yeah. I have no idea. It's
Me neither.
I feel like I'm living in a dream in some sense. It's very strange.
Living in a dream.
There's just no. So I guess one thing that I'm having a hard time with is, well, actually, it literally depends on the day.
Move this microphone up so you're not hitting that. No. I love you.
You know what you signed up for. I'm not sorry. I'm not. What?
The reason I had said that is so you're not touching this on your chest.
I have boobs. I don't know.
Right. I have a chest too, but the microphone's not right up against it.
You don't have boobs. You're
Okay.
a boy.
You don't have the boobs you once did. Then we might have a different conversation.
Is this okay?
Just don't bump it, please.
I'll do my best, but I talk with my hands. I'm Italian. Better you than me.
Go on.
I forgot what I was saying.
Living in a dream depends on the day.
Yeah, there's total blurred lines of work and not, because humans are not wired to sit for especially 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
nonstop. So I get antsy at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, want to get out of my chair, so feel compelled to go for a run, and I do that because I'm away from my desk with a shower for 60 minutes, so it's not like, call it a lunch break, sure. So that pushes me back. Like sometimes I'm working at 6 o'clock at night or later because I took a 90-minute break in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So psychologically, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? It's past 5. Like, not even past 5, but it's like 8 o'clock. I shouldn't be working right now.
Mhm.
But work needs to be done. Or like, if you're talking about 8-hour work day, I've only worked 6.5 hours today, so like,
Nobody works an 8-hour fucking workday.
no, I know that, even in the office or otherwise. It's just weird.
It is weird.
And if I go by the, like, there's always something to do, right? So if I go by the, like, work until the work's done, I would be working into the evening every night, which I'm not willing to do because I'm paid for 40 hours a week.
Mhm.
So it's very strange.
Yeah, one thing I've always liked about working for myself, well, is that I can put in extra time, but it's my choice, and like, my pay really depends on it, honestly, which I like. Like, there's incentive for me to work more. I like that. But at the same time, it is kind of a trap, especially working from home, when those lines do get blurred. Like, what do you hear? What's Jocko's most famous saying? Discipline is freedom. It's so fucking true. And guess what? Unlimited freedom is a prison. Like, when you have all the things in the world at your disposal, you fall prey to the paradox of choice, and you end up trapped in like everything but nothing at the same time. If you are disciplined and you have a schedule and you know what's going on, like, you are very intentionally using your time, investing your time.
It is so,
finite resource.
the difference in my productivity of either the night before or the morning of writing out a to-do list, not even necessarily a schedule, but just a list of like 4 or 5 tasks to get through in the day. I was doing it even when I wasn't working from home, but just regardless, it makes such a difference in my productivity because I've turned off the pop-up notification and the sound notification of when I receive an email. So I don't know. There's a little, like, the envelope icon is in the little,
The badge.
yeah, on my banner, but otherwise won't know if I get an email. And I'll look at my task list, pick something to do, decide on something, close my notebook, my workbook, and do that thing. So I don't have anything else like talking to me when I'm doing that thing. It's not like I have my workbook open reminding me of the other things I have to do. It's like during that time I'm doing that one thing. Once that one thing's done, usually a couple other things evolve from that. So maybe I'll get those done, but like then refer to my workbook, choose something else, close it. I haven't been as disciplined in doing that since working from home, but I have found that minimizing the distractions around you, not surprisingly, significantly help.
Oh yeah. There's a reason I organize my phone the way I do, and hide all my apps on my second page, and I subconsciously work around it a little bit, but it definitely helps. You know, like, especially the notification thing. That was
Yeah.
a big game changer for
Yeah.
me. I don't have any notifications on my phone turned on other than calendar, phone call, and text message. But my phone's always on Do Not Disturb.
You don't have email?
I've thought about, fuck no. You kidding me? Email is the biggest trap of all of them. Email? Have you ever heard the theory of email? When you're in your inbox and you're replying to emails, you're on defense, and when you're sending emails, you're on offense.
You have said that before, yes.
If you're in your inbox and just replying to things that come to you all the time, you are playing defense all day long. You're never getting anywhere. You're never advancing. You're just preventing. It's a terrible trap. It is a terrible, terrible trap. I am most productive on days when I check my email least. 100%. Easily. And I had an app on my email before where I was only actually getting inbound emails at like twice a day. I said it, like 11 and 4.
Yeah.
And that was huge. But think about it. They're just things that interrupt you. Like you got your task list, right? And you're focused on doing one thing until it's done, cross it off, next thing. Like that's the way humans are meant to work. Like one thing at a time. And when you're in the middle of that thing and you get an email notification from whoever about something that you need to do, like it just totally fucks you up. It's the biggest distraction in the world. It's terrible.
I have
one other thing. There's some things that I get are like urgent, right? And you need something like to happen. I feel like everyone, including myself, has the, like, we're all biased that our shit's more important than it actually is.
Oh, yeah. Completely.
And I think that leads to people hearing what I just said about snoozing emails until certain points of the day, saying, oh, I couldn't do that. Like, everything would go wrong. Like, okay, then either one, whatever operation you're running, you need to fucking fix.
Yeah.
or two, you're just making excuses for yourself. And it's really not that big of a deal if you don't get to an email until 11 a.m. the next day or the afternoon. Like, you know what I mean?
I do. So I agree with you completely, but
I have a better excuse.
I work with people
Mm-hmm.
who do not feel that way. Those people manage me. So I still feel like I need to be able to respond quickly to things when I need to.
So let me ask you this. If you were to write an email or have a conversation, not even write an email, have a conversation with these people and say, look, I'm trying to add the most value to this organization as possible. And the way I am most productive and can get the most things done for you is by not being bombarded and distracted by emails all day long. I don't see how you can argue with that. You know what I mean? Like, I get that there are things that are urgent. I get that. But guess what?
Urgent is subjective.
Very.
And
the bias I talked about, like, it's hard. I haven't heard a good argument against that isn't emotionally and irrationally tied to that bias.
Yeah, agreed. So, one of the things that I have to do for my job is to publish articles.
Right.
And that's turned into, based off of the content around COVID and how that stuff is relatively
Of course.
new, and we're learning things each day. These articles are being written in response to real-time information, so it's best to get them published and disseminated quickly after that news in which the article is based off of is published, right? So it's more current.
Of course.
So the people I work for are prioritizing this.
Mm-hmm.
as one of my responsibilities, one of my top responsibilities. So I'm supposed to stop whatever task I'm doing. Well, I shouldn't say that. The turnaround time of me receiving this article and then finalizing it and posting it is hours, which makes it difficult for me to stay on task during the day because sometimes I'm posting one in the morning, one in the afternoon, so it takes time out of my already full to-do list of the day that I've planned to finalize, edit, schedule, post, all of this stuff.
So
sometimes I'm doing 3.
Okay.
If I'm scheduling one for the next day.
So are you let's say you're doing 3 in a day. 2 are going out that day and 1's going out the next day.
It actually hasn't been that frequent lately, but anyway.
Let's say it's 2. Whatever. And they have to go out that day. Did you just find out about them?
Yes.
That morning?
Yes. That's how it's been.
Okay. Well, then you guys need a schedule. You guys need a content calendar.
So we were doing that. The articles were scheduled to go out every Tuesday or every other Tuesday of the month, depending on how many we had how many we had in the queue. So I had ample notice to get them scheduled. No less than, rarely 24 hours, but at least 2 or 3 business days. So ample time to get that up. But because these articles are on COVID-related issues and people are using real-time data to write these articles, the data is changing so quickly. New cases, new tests, whatever else. I need to get them up as soon. I shouldn't say as soon, it's not that urgent anymore, but shortly after they're given to me, within hours.
That's just a terrible system. I with all due respect, it's a terrible system.
You're not disrespecting me. I don't disagree with you.
For the sheer fact that it's just not sustainable, and you're gonna burn out somebody who's responsible for doing it all, and they're not gonna be able to be as productive as they can be, and as a result, they might get frustrated. And that's just not a good long-term play.
It's not. So I
It's not a good short-term play for that reason either.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I've been adjusting to this because it doesn't seem like COVID is going away anytime soon, which means that these articles are still going to be coming my way. I think we're publishing once a day now, so I'll get it in the morning and expected to have it out by lunchtime, or I'll get it in the afternoon around lunchtime and expected for it to be out on end of business day, close of business. So I have started scheduling less things in my queue, prepping for receiving an article that needs to be published, and then if I get everything done on my to-do list, which never happens because something always comes up, then I'll take something off of my queue list and add it there for the day. But it's that's been a harder adjustment for me than working from home.
I believe it. That's like it's like being on call all the time.
Yeah.
Basically.
In a way, yeah. For our specific responsibility, yes, yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. I guess I've never explicitly processed that out loud before.
Yeah. But I mean, your supervisors have to know that, obviously, if this is a priority, it's gonna backseat something else.
Yeah. No, that has not been made explicit, but it will be. Excuse me.
Good one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good one.
It's I used to, the whole notion of me, how I feel about my space.
Like to have a clean workspace conducive to your getting stuff done.
Yeah. I just like to have, like, a nice
Work
space for me
environment.
to, work and, function. So, I thought it was going to bother me a lot less than it does that I don't have an actual office anymore, that I don't have a door to, like,
You're really bad at this.
I know, I told you I talk with my hands. For my own space. There was not one point in my workday that I would not give thanks for having an office and having a door to close. Every single fucking day. There is something that I'm like, whether it's literally just, like, I need to get something done, don't want to be bothered, like, door is cracked, or, like, I don't want to fucking talk to anyone today, door is closed, or I need to stretch for 5 minutes,
Middle finger
I need
to
to
the
change for something, like, anything. I need to put
privacy is nice.
It's everything. It is everything. I do not understand how, and I literally lucked out. Like, my position, and you could even equalize it to salary grade, because that's a hierarchy as well as far as title, like position and title. I'm sorry, position and salary go. I'll have meetings with assistant directors, managers, like just people that I work with on campus, and they'll come to my office, and they'll, like, be amazed that I have an office, and that I have an office as large as I do. And then I feel bad because I'm, like, 2 years out of school, fucking program coordinator, and sitting here with, like, a fucking, like, whiteboard and table and chairs and desk at the fucking office door, and they're like, you have a really nice office. I'm like, yeah, I thought everyone had an office like this on this campus, but then I started walking, like, poking my nose in places and realized that
fucking privileged white girl. People
have fucking cubicles. It has nothing to do with it, and that joke is misplaced, but
that's what makes it a joke.
Oh, what? I thought it was misplaced. Yeah, but I don't know. We coexist pretty well.
You have office privilege.
Okay, stop with the privilege.
Okay. I like this space a lot. I would definitely be more productive if this space was outside of our apartment, though. Like, the fact that the fridge is right there, it's dangerous, man.
I know. We eat the majority of our food.
Yeah.
I'd do the same thing if I worked from home.
Yeah. It's dangerous. I do like the smoothie lunch routine, though. I think that's good.
Would you consider getting a shared space? Or a co-work thing?
I've thought about it. I think you can get one for like $150, $200 a month or so. It's not bad.
What?
Yeah.
That seems like a lot of money. To share a space? You know what Syracuse Co-works looks like? It's an open floor with a bunch of desks.
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Maybe I think I'm thinking of just an office space that has like little offices in it. You could rent for like $200.
Is it yours?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With like a door and a lock and yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be cool.
I've thought about it. At this point, I don't see it. I do like the convenience of working from home. I think it's more like a... I was going to say, I think it's more of a me and a discipline problem with the fridge. But at the same time, like, you want to obviously set your environment up for success. Like, you want to stack the deck in your favor. So I acknowledge that too. And it probably would be productive of me to have an office space elsewhere. Like, even with the commute to get there and whatever, like, it'd probably be more productive still.
Well, because you'd even have the option to work here or in the office, which would be nice. So even if it's just a couple days a week to get a change of scenery.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, do you go to the fridge out of, like, boredom? and you want stimulation, or you're stressed?
Both, for sure.
I'm thinking if you do it to get out of your chair and to do something because you've been sitting for a while, then set a timer for an hour or for 30 minutes on your phone. Once it goes off, get up and stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, do 10 push-ups.
Yeah, I should.
Instead of subconsciously just going to the fridge.
I do that a lot. It goes back to the same thing, the freedom thing.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Remember when I first started working from home and I was like, if I get all my work done, then I don't have anything to do. And you were like, yeah, no shit. I don't have the desire to pull 3 12-hour days to get all of my work done for the week. So I have those 2 days off. I have zero desire to do that.
It's such an illusion anyway.
Yeah, because there's always fucking something to do.
Yeah.
I also work with people who have deemed that they're on this treadmill that they can't get off of. And so once they're behind on their work, like, you start on this treadmill and you never get caught up because there's always something more to do, which is a terrible way to...
Well, that's kind of what we just described. Like, you don't want to put in those 3 12-hour days consecutively, and as a result, you're pretty much just on this treadmill where you always have more shit to do.
But it's a perspective, though. That's the difference. There's always going to be work to do, but if you can mentally turn your work mind off at whatever even time it is. If you work from 12 to 9
you set
PM,
the pace of the treadmill instead of it setting the pace for you.
Exactly. This colleague is saying... No, she's always trying to sprint to catch up because she's always behind and, like, missing deadlines and pulling all night. Not, like, literally pulling all nighters, but that effect.
That's a quick way to...
Burnout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burnout, stress, gray hair, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's... it's funny that... I said something to her... that alluded to, like, me, like having a lot to do and, like, kind of drowning. Like, I just had a lot of deadlines or whatever it was. That's not how I normally feel. And then she gave me this treadmill theory. And I, like, nodded. Sure. Like, oh, yeah, that, well, you know, it's the way it is. Whatever the fuck I said. But I chose not to accept that. I just don't want to live that way. And I have the wherewithal to understand that that's a perspective and it's not someone who's older and wiser. It's just that person's mindset. But I got back to my office after that meeting and I started thinking, like, imagine if I put a lot of stock into that and valued that, seeing as it came from someone who has more experience than me. Like, I'm newly 24, so I've got 40 more years in the workforce.
So, there's that example. There's also, you have doctors who say that if you're maybe depressed, that you're never going to be happy again. You're never going to truly experience joy again. Also, that's fucking insane.
That was also said to me by a clinical psychologist.
So,
damning me to a lifetime of depression.
And on that note, don't you think it's interesting how age does not equal wisdom?
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think it's interesting how some people are older and, like, very evidently just off track? like they're on their own track and they're doing their thing, but, like, they have some serious, like, judgmental errors that they're making in their life with the way they approach things and their attitude, which is ultimately under their control. And, like, they've consciously steered the wrong way. Like, hold on. Maybe they haven't consciously steered the wrong way, but they are consciously not acknowledging that they have drifted off track and that they can make improvements on their mindset.
If those neuro pathways are that deeply ingrained in that person's brain.
It's a victim mindset.
Oh, I'm not giving excuses. You can absolutely change your mindset and your habits. I mean, I'm well aware of that. And I think everyone should take full responsibility of their thoughts, behaviors, feelings, and cut the bullshit and just take responsibility for their actions. Yeah.
Amen.
But
Amen, baby Jesus.
I don't know. I still believe that you can learn something from someone. You can learn something from everyone. And
agreed.
There's a lot of things that I've learned from the people I work with, even though I don't necessarily want to follow their career path.
Yeah.
You know?
And a lot of times it's...
Or even lifestyle. Yeah. Or even lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that you can learn something from anybody, but it's not always what you should do. A lot of times it's what you should not do.
But a lesson is a lesson.
Oh, agreed. But we got onto this because of age equals wisdom. So you're not learning from somebody's wisdom, you're learning from their lack of it.
Right. So that's really interesting because I've been on this thing. Can I get water first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm parched.
That's the intermission music from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It is, I swear to God.
I believe you.
The greatest movie of all time. The GOAT. This podcast is sponsored by Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Oh, wonder how that sounded. Yeah.
Dude.
It's part of my...
Not everyone is me and is used to that.
It's part of my... It's part of my way of filtering out people.
What did C say?
The more authentic you are, the more authentic people you attract in your life.
People don't want to listen to you burp.
People... Okay.
I think I've just grown numb to your bodily...
Okay, so if...
Wait, hold on. I want to...
No. You, hold on. You started something.
We had a good conversation going, and I have a good point to make.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Jeez. Look at my hairs. Anyway. Age does not equal wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
I think... I mean, we've talked about before how... the circle of life is something like you're born a child and innocent and pure, and then life jades you, and then you grow old, and then you become a kid again, just in your inhibitions and like
Nietzsche's philosophy.
You don't care.
Actually, I don't know if it originated from Nietzsche. You're a child, and then you become a camel, and you work stubbornly, very persistently. And then you become a lion? We're so in love.
I remember listening to this on the way to the Adirondacks.
And then after you transcend the lion, back to the child.
Yeah. So there's some theory, look it up, or philosophy, whatever. It's fascinating. So I've been on this thing about kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been attracted to them for a... You fucking kidding me?
Nope, got an itch, bro. Go on. Kids. Okay.
I'm so distracted. I've never seen you do that before, ever. Usually you're an over-the-pants guy.
Sometimes you gotta get in there. You gotta get in there real close, like...
If I didn't know you, I'd be uncomfortable.
Okay, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't know you, man. Come on. You think I put my hand on my pants in front of anybody? That's how you end up with some Louis C.K. shit.
I'm honored. He has permission. Anyway. Are you sure? Sorry.
I'm gonna put my hand on my pants. Okay, go ahead. Are you sure? I can put my hand up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I find kids intriguing and wonderful for a lot of reasons, and I'm drawn to them for a lot of reasons, one of which is their innocence and their honesty and their, like, not purity in, like, the version or, like, religious sense, but just like, not jaded or warped by fucking society. That much.
Fucking society, man.
But, like, watching that girl play with her dad in the field,
mm-hmm.
And talking about Connor earlier, and his wonderful qualities. I feel like children are also very wise. in the sense that, like, they don't see race. Like, it's the typical, like, you don't see, like, 4 and 5-year-olds, you don't see them segregated by,
Right.
like, race, class. Like, they're just friends. Like
Is
Josh.
that true?
Yeah. Like, Josh isn't black Josh. Josh is just Josh, and Josh has cool trucks that I want to play with, so I'm gonna play with Josh.
I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that way, I think kids can hold a lot of wisdom as well. And in the
It's
same
like
way that they're like
innocent wisdom that you're innately born with that society warps over time.
yeah.
Oh. So
Or you're warped by society, or
well,
like whatever it is.
I made a video on this actually, bias, and how every human is essentially just infinitely biased, because a bias is a predisposition or inclination based on prior experience. Therefore, you have prior experience. Therefore, you have bias. It is that simple. It is that fucking simple. And depending on where you grow up and like like you have different biases, of course, and there are themes throughout society, for sure. And like, how much media have you been exposed to? Because that biases you, makes you biased as well. I used an example in my video about Steve.
Fucking Steve.
Steve was eating berries over at this berry bush.
Oh, yo, I fucking remember this. Fucking Steve.
The, back in Paleolithic times, when you're hunting and gathering and shit, Steve was eating berries by this berry bush, and it was near a bear's den. And, let's call him Joe. Joe saw Steve raving about his berry bush because there are all these berries over there.
He had a bush too. Probably.
He definitely had a bush.
No razors.
Definitely had a bush. 100%. They didn't care back then. Prevented friction. It was fine. That's what hair's for.
I know.
And then one day, Steve's over at his magical berry bush by the bear's den that everyone's a little skeptical about. It's near a bear's den, and Steve doesn't come back. Steve was a little...
R.I.P. Steve.
Steve's gone.
Well,
it's not that berry bush is, insulting his privilege or stepping on his rights in any way, or suppressing him. It didn't do anything particularly bad to Steve, but now everyone else who noticed Steve is gone is going to be a little biased against that berry bush, just by pure nature of the fact that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't undo that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a survival mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Your bias is a survival mechanism. It is learning from experience to help you survive.
That is why you and I and everyone else our brains are wired to focus on negative events and experiences versus positive.
We're more fear motivated than we are goal driven.
Yeah. It's a negativity bias, and it's for that exact reason.
Mm-hmm.
So to use your example of Steve in the berry bush, back then in Paleolithic times, our amygdala, our core ancient brain, I feel like I'm lecturing now, was super strong, home to our amygdala, and I don't know, I'm gonna butcher it. Our ancient brain is home to our fight or flight response.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that that's a thing is because our ancestors, like Steve, had to view things as a threat because things back then, like the bears, were trying to kill them.
Survival. Yeah.
So if Steve got away, it might have been because he heard the bears move in the cave or a different rustling in the bushes, and his fight or flight kicked in, and so he might have ran.
Of course.
Or fought the bear, but that's why we focus on negative things. We view things as a threat more so than an opportunity.
We are biased in that way.
We are. It's called the negativity bias.
Mm-hmm.
But now we don't need it as much because we don't have bears around us all the time.
Now we live in a world of abundance, not in a world of scarcity. We need positivity bias. But we haven't developed that. We've only been smart for a little while. In the range of evolution, anyway.
You know, I need to. I'm the worst with fucking finishing books. I want to like restart The Healthy Deviant because I haven't picked it up in so long. But
that's Brene Brown.
No.
Which one's Brene Brown?
The Gifts of Imperfection. That's also unfinished on my nightstand.
Okay. Got it.
I have 3 unfinished pieces of work on my nightstand right now. It really stresses me out. And I want to reread Pollen's book and all the other books on our bookshelf. Anyway, that's a sore spot with me. Maybe in the Adirondacks, I'm just gonna fucking read. Like, honestly.
Fucking do it.
Will you be okay, like, just building stuff on your computer, just tinkering? Yeah. Maybe
I'll always be okay with that.
Maybe we'll just not talk to one another and just do other things. Anyway.
Want to be separately together on our honeymoon?
Yeah, that sounds great. No, but her book really highlights how we have, like, our environment has just changed so drastically as far as, like, technology in the age of information and even the Industrial Revolution and having all these things around us. And how we're just not, like, our biology has not caught up to our environment. So there's just a complete mismatch, which is why we're very, very sick.
100%. It's actually super interesting. I heard Brett Weinstein talking about evolution and how, you know, it's common knowledge that your environment shapes the adaptations, the organisms that live in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he pointed out that that's actually not true. It's your ancestors' environment that shape you, not yours. You are a single instance. The creatures in an environment are a single instance in time. It is not based on that specific environment they're living in. It is based on the environment that their ancestors lived in and leading up to that time.
Define environment.
Surroundings, like literally.
But what scale? What scale are you talking about? Are you talking about like our apartment and how we choose to?
The grandest scale.
Okay.
As in.
So you're talking about like
every single environmental factor, like literally internal, external environment, everything. Every phenomenon outside your human body.
Okay.
Is your environment.
Okay, so...
Like, from an evolutionary standpoint, that's how they define environment, loosely.
So, he's saying that we are living in what would have been optimal for our ancestors' environment?
Right, which is why we have the fear responses, and we're wired like Steve, and we don't have the whole... You literally just said, our world has not caught up, like, our biology has not caught up to our environment in the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
It is that exact premise that I'm saying to you.
Right, but it sounds like you're saying the opposite.
No, I'm saying right now we are built based on our ancestors' environment.
Okay, yes.
Not our environment.
Okay, yes.
But the oversimplification of the statement, your environment shapes you, or the environment shapes the organisms that live in it, is misses the fact that it's not in a single instance in time. It's the environment of your entire species leading up to you that is shaped what you're built for, not the environment you're in currently.
Right. So I think when people say that, and when I've used that phrase before, I've been talking about very micro level examples, as in you're going to be less stressed if your kitchen doesn't have moldy food, and like so invest in your environment, as in the 4 walls in which we live in.
Yeah. Well.
Or like talking about habit forming, like if you have primers in your environment to do that healthy habit,
So,
then that's going to shape your behavior.
agreed. You can manipulate your environment to stack the deck in your favor for you to succeed and be productive and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. Yes. Evolutionary biologists don't really talk about that much.
No, right. I'm with you. I'm saying
Yeah.
I haven't.
This is the modern
right.
context.
It's like the bougie modern, like not bougie, but like neoliberal. You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's totally true. I
Mhm.
mean, we're not. I mean, I ordered.
What you pointed out is more important, though. I mean, to actively, well, it's important also.
We don't do. I mean, there's still a lot of things I would like to do to improve my environment and my vitality. As far as
Explain.
like my work, like I want a standing desk. I want something like a pad to put under my feet, so it's. I really want to stop looking at a screen as often as I do.
Some things are easier fixed than others.
Right. So.
Low-hanging fruit.
Huh?
Low-hanging fruit.
Right, which would be a standing desk.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia has. I missed the day.
You got blue light glasses.
I'm returning them, but
Need more.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know about those.
Mm.
I'm doing it because. I mean, I already have the night mode on my computer screen, so I don't know if the blue light glasses are gonna make much of a difference. But even just, I can feel my body. Like right now, my back is sore because I've been sitting hunched over like this. For a good chunk of the day today.
Help to lean back at all? Kind of let your, and adjust your posture a little bit. Stretch your shoulders.
But this
out.
chair isn't supportive. At all. This isn't comfortable for me.
Yeah, you like to sit straight up. You're a freak.
You mean I like to have good posture?
Well, you can have good posture no matter which angle your spine is at in relevance to the ground. You know that, right?
I prefer to be upright and supported and.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying you can be hunched over and leaning back. As in your legs and your back.
Yeah.
You can have good posture no matter what this angle is.
Right, it's all relative.
Right.
But I don't think the chair that I'm using or my desk chair at work is. Anyway. Yeah. Where am I?
I got those lumbar support things, but I don't think they work really well for this chair. This chair is actually designed for that, in that it's the back is closer and it means back.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the most expensive chair ever, that's for sure.
It's all good.
It's all good.
No, but I would.
You would what?
Not like to stare at a screen for 8 hours a day, whatever work I'm doing. Which, I don't know.
It's gonna be harder and harder as time goes on, dude.
I know.
Technology's also gonna get better. Night mode, blue light glasses. And I mean that's a very small.
That's such a small band-aid.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's not what bothers me about it though.
What does? Is it more not being outside than it is being inside with the screen?
It's along those lines more for sure.
Okay.
I've been having a hard time as my home office looks out into that field. Out past our balcony. I've been having, on really nice days, I've been having a hard time, staring at my screen and not staring past my screen to this beautiful, vibrant green field that's outside with the sun shining when I have things to do on this 13-inch screen in front of me.
So, better to be in your office with no windows at all?
I wouldn't say that, no.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Because
there's definitely an interesting balance there. You want to have some sunlight, some natural sunlight, and that whole thing too. But on some level, the grass is always greener, right? It's.
Well,
it's distracting.
I mean.
Which I sympathize with you.
I think. close my elbows for people who are listening.
Goddamn.
I don't know. I don't think it freaks me out that, and I know I'm gonna sound very ideological right now, if that's even a thing, and it's gonna sound ridiculous, but
it is a thing, but I'm still looking forward to it.
Technology, and to me, especially with this COVID thing, you know how I feel about technology and specifically social media, and I have...
Our listeners don't. Tell them.
I've never thought social media was necessarily a positive thing, just because I've taken classes and have background knowledge on how, when used incorrectly, social media can actually be quite detrimental to your mental health.
So is it safe to say you haven't viewed it as a positive thing?
No, largely in my life I have not viewed it as positive.
Okay.
I use it, not frequently. I have Facebook to keep touch with people who I don't normally see. I use Facebook like LinkedIn, though. I have Instagram because I follow people on there. I enjoy photography, so I don't follow as many people as I do like other accounts. I use it as like a source of, I guess, culture, you could say. I mean, based off of the people I follow. And I just got a Twitter, which
It's the biggest trap of them all.
am like half-assed. Like, I haven't been on it in a week. Like, I don't.
Good. Don't.
Well, I created one for a very specific reason, and I'm not using it like I should be. So, anyway, so I haven't largely viewed technology as a positive thing, with people just being addicted to their phones and cyberbullying and like all of that. I grew up in that time, like all the workshops on cyberbullying when I was 11, and like what that meant and whatever, and how to like treat your phone or treat people nicely on your phone, everything. But in light of this COVID thing, I mean, you've helped me change my mind about social media and just offer a new perspective, which I appreciate, and I don't feel as strongly as I did about it, but I don't think people use it correctly, largely.
Can I explain what that perspective is that you're referring to?
Sure.
That perspective is the idea that social media is a tool, and it can be used properly and it can be used improperly. Just like a hammer. A hammer can, you can beat the shit out of a screw with a hammer. You're not going to get very far. You could do some other pretty terrible things with a hammer too, that aren't going to serve you either. But if used properly, it'll put a nail in a piece of wood pretty damn well. And I believe that social media can be used the way a hammer is used for a nail. That is, it can be used properly. However, I want to fully and completely acknowledge that it is very much built for you to get addicted to it and abuse it.
Yes.
It is built for that purpose.
Yes.
Because you have companies like Facebook, for example, and they sell ads on their platform. And the way they make money on their platform is they sell ads. And the more you scroll the news feed, the more ads they can serve you, and the more they can charge their advertisers for showing their ads, and the more money they make. So in essence, you scrolling on social media equals more dollars for Facebook. Every time you scroll, you are making Facebook more money.
You have never broken it down for me like that before.
So Facebook has a monetary incentive and a legal incentive, might I add, to benefit the shareholders, to make as much money as possible, more or less, to benefit the shareholders as much as possible. So Facebook has that incentive. So it is incentivized to build their platform to be essentially addictive for the user, so that they can make money, so that they can pay the shareholders.
People have been quoted saying that.
So Facebook, therefore, obviously, with all the technology and all the AI and machine learning and what we have now, Facebook simply looks at what you engage with on Facebook. It looks at what pages you like. It looks at what videos you watch, how long you watch them, when you stop watching them.
So
all this carries all this information, and based on that, will show you things in your feed that you are most likely to engage with, whether that's in a positive way or a negative way. So if you have somebody that is very pro-gun, pro-Trump, very, classic Republican, it might show you a lot of Fox News clips of Republican news reporters shitting on, Bernie Sanders or whatever.
What does this have to do with your perspective?
This has to do with the fact that the platform is built to be addictive to you and is going to show you the things that are going to get you outraged, which contributes to the polarizing political environment that we have. Because it what it does by being addictive and showing you the things that you want to see, it gets you to dig your heels in deeper on the beliefs that you already have.
I understand that, but we started this with the reason that you interjected is because you said, "Can I explain what perspective it is that you were talking about?"
I wanted to fully explain the idea.
Okay. So what's your perspective on social media?
That it's a tool, and it can be used properly to connect with people and stay in touch with people, but it is also ripe for abuse and addiction because of all those things I just talked about.
Okay, so that's also a lot of the reason why I don't use it and why I don't prefer it and why I don't think it's largely a good thing. I think it has benefits. I don't think it's because of what it's become. It's a good thing.
Like a hammer with thorns on the handle.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's still largely I still don't have like a warm fuzzy feeling about social media.
Nor do I. To be clear.
But with this COVID stuff, I've been amazed at how our technology is still bringing us together and serving as a feasible tool in the interim of the social distancing and these protocols. But I still find technology and these screens and whatever else so wildly unnatural.
Yes.
And that's my problem with the whole thing is that I don't, like, I want to do research. Like, I'm signing up for a career path where I'm going to be looking at a screen. And I'm like, that's most everyone nowadays. But if I'm going to be doing research, like, I'm going to need software that's on a computer to complete, like, computers to, like, I'm not going to write a 50-page manuscript on paper. Like, that's just not realistic, right? So I understand that, and I understand it's so deeply embedded into our society that I can't escape it, and I'm not suggesting that I want to that extent, but I still find the whole, just the notion that we are, as a species, are kept inside, out of sunlight, unattached, detached from nature in general, how we don't ever feel the earth under our feet anymore unless we go outside without shoes on, which is not deemed as, it's not legal to do. For health and safety reasons, and like I understand that like I'm swinging over here on this this pendulum.
You're fucking hippie, yeah.
But I still, the whole thing really bothers me.
I got two things. Number one, I think technology is a good thing, but I think hold on. I think it's an instance of we are gods, but for the wisdom.
Yeah.
Same exact thing, which, again, lends itself. It's a tool, but we are misusing it.
Yeah.
I think it's the same idea. Two, I don't think the argument... I have problems with the argument, specifically with the word, it's unnatural. Let me ask you this. What do you think about the idea, the concept, that everything on this planet is natural because it came from the earth? Like, everything started from something natural. So tell me what's not natural.
Red dye 40.
But it came from natural substances.
Did it?
Yes.
What, like what? I don't know, and I don't know if you do either.
I don't, but I know it came from this earth.
Do you seriously, like, I understand this is a fascinating argument. I've never heard it, and I think it's hilarious, but
Really?
you cannot sit here and tell me that you think the Starburst jelly beans and the Reese's peanut butter cups that your mother gave us today are natural.
Okay, tell me what. Let's define natural. I'll look it up.
I don't know, but it's not the fucking chemicals that are in that stuff.
Well, in order to have this discussion, we need to be on the same page of what natural actually is.
I'm totally with you.
Natural definition.
I also want your source.
I just Google. Do you want me to go to like Merriam-Webster or something? I didn't even read it yet.
Read that first.
The first one?
Yeah, whatever result that is.
Okay. So if you Google, quote, natural definition, and Google pulls up the dictionary thing right away. Adjective, existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. Interesting. Of or in agreement with the character or makeup of or circumstances surrounding someone or something.
What was that one?
Of or in agreement with the character or makeup of or circumstances surrounding someone or something.
I don't like that one.
It's too wordy.
That definition seems all-encompassing, the second one you read. Can you look it up on urbandictionary.com?
Natural?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm on Merriam-Webster really quick, though. Based on an inherent sense of right and wrong. Oh, natural. No, that's not what we want. We just want the word natural, people. All right, Merriam-Webster, you guys need to work on your fucking mobile.
Let's go with the first definition. Give it to me again.
Existing in or caused by nature, not made or caused by humankind. The problem is that implies that humankind is not natural.
Not necessarily.
So, okay. Hold on.
Is a baby
Yeah.
natural?
Yeah. What the fuck about a baby isn't natural?
It's made by humankind.
Oh, okay.
By that
You're pointing out the
definition.
hypocrisy in your own stance.
No, it's not a stance. I've never explored or thought critically about the definition of natural.
The way you used it before implied that, plastic's not natural, right?
I don't think...
Because we made plastic.
Yeah.
Even though we made it with things from the earth, it's not natural because we made it.
I still don't think it's natural.
That's
it
fine.
doesn't go back into the earth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, a banana peel can decompose.
It's not, okay, so this is interesting. The banana peel is a direct result. It is one step away from nature. Like, plastic is maybe two or multiple steps. It's more than one step away from nature because it didn't come from the earth directly. It had to be manipulated after the earth produced whatever materials that we had and made into plastic. Did you follow that?
Yeah.
So, are you talking about things that are natural in that things that are only one step away? That anything that just comes from the earth that doesn't have to be manipulated into something else? Because here's an interesting argument for you. So, we have plastic now, right?
Yeah.
200,000 years ago, our friend Steve, he was picking berries, and he was wearing a nice little loincloth that he made from the skin of a rabbit he shot and some...
Did he shoot it? Because they didn't have guns back then.
That he did not shoot. He caught it with his bare hands because he was on his game that day. He just jumped on it. Got him. He strangled it. Anyway. A loincloth made of the hide of a rabbit. Sure. And vine from a tree, right? Or something like this.
Okay.
Those things are from the earth, the rabbit and the vine.
Yeah.
But they are not in their natural state as a loincloth on his body. So then you have plastic. Plastic, we didn't just physically manipulate. maybe this is the difference in science class. Do you remember physical and chemical reactions? Like a physical reaction is like the shattering of glass.
So vaguely.
And a chemical reaction is like use heat or pressure or something to alter the chemistry of the actual thing itself. And that's how you get plastic. So maybe your definition of natural is things that have been chemically altered. Not physically altered.
Maybe, but I'm thinking of rust. And rust is a natural chemical reaction that happens when
this is
two
true.
natural elements.
So natural chemical reactions can occur.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Can you imagine if there was some natural phenomenon that made plastic?
Jesus. See, this is very interesting because now, I mean, I don't have a stance on this per se. I don't want to commit myself to a definition of natural.
Nor do I. I'm just a curious little rhino.
I know you are.
Asking why.
No, I think this is I think this is so interesting because now we live in a world that I think is very unnatural, and that we are stuck inside looking at screens, detached from nature, detached from each other, whatever else.
Nature, natural.
Right, yes.
Semantically yep.
Yeah, so we live in this unnatural world, and it's now hip or good, seen as positive, to consume natural things, organic things. So things that you buy on the supermarket shelf are labeled natural, and you buy that because it's natural, even though it's fucking produced in, like, the soap I buy, for instance, I can read and understand all of the ingredients in that soap. Is it natural? Because someone had to put it all together? It's made from purely things that come from the earth. Water, essential oils, I think coconut oil. I don't know what the actual soap is. Maybe it's not. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But there's that too. There's that argument too, and that people, I don't know, like, is the meat we buy from Fingerlings natural? Because it still goes through a processing process.
So
it's more natural than the fucking curated pepperoni that you buy in a package.
Or the diner food we ate this week.
Right.
Fucking cancer sausage.
I know. Dude, your mom, I wanted, when you were like, oh, it was like a Freda, it was like eggs and like a whole bunch of stuff, and she was like, that's not that bad. I was like, it's definitely roasted in vegetable oil.
Disgusting.
Processed sausage, ham, pepperoni, bacon, eggs that definitely are not organic or, you know?
Came from a chicken with 3 wings and 1 leg. Just hopping around. Just playing hopscotch with his buddies.
And then the worst kind of cheese for you. Not the worst, but one of the worst kind of cheeses for you. Soft cheese isn't as good for your gut as hard cheese. Because of the bacteria. Like, she's like, that's not that bad. I was like, Carrie, you have you don't eat red meat. Like, you have no idea what was in that thing.
Nobody...
It's a fucking heart attack.
That's no offense to my mom, but much of the general public is pretty ignorant on, health and whatever. I don't want to derail from what you're talking about, the natural thing. I
wouldn't say ignorant as just uneducated.
Uneducated, well, and strategically so, right?
Yes, not by their own devices.
Right. Yeah. Their environment is set up that way.
See, unhealthy default
Though
reality.
it is still up to them to recognize there are other ways, ask questions.
Okay, fair.
To at very least ask questions. Always question. Number 1 rule, if you have a belief, try to break it.
That's why I like you.
If you can break it, good. You can find a better belief then. If you can't break it, good. It's a good belief. Anyway, the natural thing. I think that maybe, we could sit here and go back and forth on this all day long about, chemical reactions and this and that and this and the other. And I really don't have the answer, but I would say natural, we could agree on a definition and go from there, but I don't think it's a silly. Like we could do that and establish that, but I don't think that really gets at what we're talking about. I think, or I don't think it's gonna solve the discussion we're having. What I do think is more reasonable is that natural exists on a spectrum, and I think to some degree everything is natural in the sense that everything did come from this earth, and that plastic ultimately did come from this earth. We had to manipulate the shit out of it to get plastic, and have Walmart written on the side of it with 2 handles so we can carry our Ben and Jerry's ice cream out to our car before we put a spoon in it that we pull out of our glove box. But but
are you talking about something real?
Anyway,
you don't keep a spoon in your glove box,
anyway,
do you?
No.
I don't know. You never know with you.
Anyway, I think everything's natural in some degree, and that everything did come from this earth. There's nothing on this earth, so far as we know, that is not, either.
There's like lab created stuff though.
Okay, yeah, but the lab exists on this earth, right? Like everything is natural to some degree. You have to accept that fact. Look, it's not my argument. I'm acknowledging a simple fact. Everything came from this earth.
That doesn't mean it's natural.
Based on your definition of natural, it is natural to some degree, to the extent that it came from this earth. How can you sit here and dispute that?
I'm not.
Okay.
I just don't like it.
Well, sorry, but...
It's okay. I'm just sitting with it. Let me process.
You were, and it came out in the form of refuting what I said.
I'm not refuting. I'm swallowing it, and I'm choking on it a little bit, but I'm processing.
So, I definitely think a banana is more natural than plastic. I think anyone who's as remotely has a brain would agree with that. But as far as what is purely natural, I don't think humans are.
I have 2 things. 1, there seems to be, like, per your example of banana versus plastic, you just said that anyone with half a brain would agree that a banana is more natural than plastic. So I think an element of this definition or this concept of being natural is a common knowledge or predisposition that humans share. Because if to go out on a limb, say we all come from the earth, right? And to earth we shall return.
Wait, are you referring to a societally accepted definition of natural?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying that despite the fact that the word and the definition might be nuanced and different for each person, there is still this universal notion of what the foundation of the concept is. Natural means, like, maybe being outside in nature, like in the ocean, in the woods, like things that come from the earth as far as the food, the vegetables, the crops, the animals, like, it's natural. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's
the chemicals, atoms.
Sure, there's a unifying underlying concept of this word. I'm sorry, there's a unifying underlying, I guess,
idea?
Yeah, of the concept that people can agree on, to your point. So I think that's really interesting, is that humans are...
I think they agree in relevance to things. Like, I think it's a spectrum.
Yes, so my point is there are nuances in the specific definition, as you and I have been discussing. But at the same time, humans share an underlying broad idea of what this concept is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's like, to me, that speaks to us being innately and biologically connected to the outdoors. That's my first thought. Second, and now I know I'm conflating natural with moral.
Mm.
So, talking about natural behavior. Sex is a natural behavior. It's a human natural instinct, right? We've talked about before how innovation is a natural human instinct. Murder. Is that a natural thing? Rape. Is that a natural thing?
I don't know. I don't think that's a good. I don't think. I don't. Those are moral issues. To your point, I don't think those exist on the spectrum of natural.
Fine. I decided to post a question.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
No,
with
I think
you.
it's a good question.
I don't disagree with you at all.
I'm fairly confident that's the answer, though.
But people would call murder and rape unnatural.
Well, now you're talking about behavioral inclinations, and
I know. I'm totally conflating the two.
Like,
completely.
Anger's natural. Murder, though, I don't know.
It speaks to unhealthy and healthy adaptation and cope and all that. I mean, I know I'm purposely making this a mess.
Yeah, no.
But I thought of that. That was interesting.
That is interesting. So we just talked a lot about the whole natural thing. Do you think natural's always better?
My gut said yes, but 2 seconds later, my rational brain says no.
Well, I should say, do you think more natural is always better? That's a better question. And
I don't like that you said the word you used always. I don't like those all-encompassing things.
I think I agree with you, but I think that, to your point, like the whole trendiness thing and whatever of organic food and natural and whatever, I think somebody might be inclined to say yes, natural's always better, and to that person I might say vaccines. Like, I don't think natural's always better. I really don't. I think technology is, like, we are progressing technologically as we learn more about this place and our environment and how we can manipulate it. And I think, in a lot of ways we fuck that up. But again, I think it comes down to technology and using it as a tool and not misusing it. Like,
I don't think natural's always better. I mean, I'm thinking about, and see, but then again, I don't know if it's just our environment as living in this industrial revolution and information age, but I'm thinking, like, if I didn't moisturize my body and my skin every day, that would not be good. And I use a natural moisturizer, but that's not like, well, that's a shitty example. Let me think of something else.
No. I like this example. You use coconut oil to moisturize.
Because you have something about coconut oil.
No. So you use coconut oil to moisturize as opposed to fucking Jergens chemical whatever, right?
Scented, yeah.
That's more natural. But is it? You live in upstate New York. Using fucking coconut oil? How natural is that? Where'd that shit come from?
That's a good point.
Wegmans? Is Wegmans fucking natural? I don't think so. Well,
it's a good point.
In relativity.
You'd get the Jergens from Wegmans too, though.
Yeah, no. I'm not. On the spectrum of natural, I think coconut oil is more natural than Jergens. However, the devil's advocate can always point out that grocery stores ain't fucking natural and are less natural than getting your own food, growing your own food, right? Like, you can always point out it. Hold on. On the spectrum of natural, if Jergens is way on the fucking shit end and coconut oil is a little higher, like, you can always point at the other side, like, what you're missing. You can always look at the flaws on that spectrum and where it could have been more natural. And I think that's fundamentally just why natural's not always better. Like, if natural's always better, we'd be living in huts, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not even that. It's just, like, think about the evolution of our communication system. None of that is natural.
No. In a lot of ways, we fucked it up.
Yeah. I mean, that's another conversation.
Social media,
but,
like we were talking about earlier.
Right, but
it's good for a lot of things, too.
You know what I just thought?
Hmm.
In order... I shouldn't say... Let me back up. Conversations are hard.
Oh, yeah, you have to think. People don't like to think.
No, I don't mean... I know, it's true. But I don't mean... Yeah, you have to think. This takes a lot of energy to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Rogan can do 2 podcasts in a day. That's fucking bananas to me.
I think this is energizing. I don't think this is draining at all.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I disagree.
Oh.
I don't think it's not draining in the sense of like... I mean, I'm very much enjoying this, and
Yeah.
I asked you to do this, and I'm not going to, like, have to take 5 minutes to myself or, like, clock out after this, but, well, actually, I don't know if it's draining. I'm enjoying this. Anyway. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
Conversations are hard.
Yeah, conversations are hard. And you make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I know we've talked about this, but it's just, I mean, I feel like I'm trying to formulate new thoughts around an idea that I'm exploring for the first time. And so I feel like I'm babbling and talking over myself and just not taking a long time to get to the point I'm trying to make, but I'm trying to formulate the thoughts in my head before I say them out loud because this is the first time I'm really thinking through this. It's very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back when we were hunting and gathering and like the intermittent fast, for example, was something that was forced because we had to get our food in order to eat, and sometimes it wouldn't be until later in the day or whatever it was.
Oftentimes couldn't just wake up, go to the fridge.
Even with the agricultural movement and planting crops, it takes a lot of fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it's just so interesting. I was thinking, if we've talked about having a vegetable garden, an herb garden, flower garden, but for our food purposes, I want a large veggie garden with a bunch of different things, so I could pick it if I wanted to, and we could have a pretty robust salad, for example, right? Like, I want some variety in this garden, bigger than what your dad has.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that would take a lot of time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like you're compromising that for your 40-hour work week. Because even if you're, like, it's not really feasible to tend to your garden 4 hours and then work 8 hours and then cook that food. You know what I mean? Like, it just...
You're talking economics now. What's the ROI on your time? What's the opportunity cost?
The reason I got here is because I was thinking that I want to get to the point where I can afford, and I'm using that word very intentionally, afford to spend my time tending to our vegetables.
Because it is a lower ROI activity.
Yeah. Because I can go to the grocery store.
Monetarily. The benefits of being in the garden as opposed to behind a screen doing something you don't like is a lot harder to measure. The mental benefits.
There are assessments that are created for you to measure that just fine.
Like research studies?
Like validated and reliable assessments for...
An individual?
Yeah, for... It's all of the... the word...
The average person can't just...
Yeah, like, you can take these assessments.
The average person can't just quit their job and decide, I'm going to start a vegetable garden and see what happens with my life. Just to do a little split test.
Well, of course not.
Right.
But you can measure your overall well-being, happiness levels, life satisfaction, purpose.
Yes. You can. I agree with that.
Pre and post. Like, those, there are measures.
Well, but pre and post, it involves Steve quitting his job and starting a huge vegetable garden instead. Mm-hmm. Like, his wife might be mad because they still got to pay the mortgage. Like, it's not that easy. You know what I mean?
That's my point, is that I want to be able to afford to do that.
Agreed.
Right now, my time is too valuable to do that.
My point was, you can't measure the benefit fully. Like, monetarily, you're taking a loss. But the benefits that are more abstract.
I'm saying you can measure those benefits with those assessments that I'm referring to. Give me an example of something you're saying.
Dear, I'm saying there's no economics 101 for your mental health. Like, hey, you should do this instead of that. Like, it's not as concrete.
I disagree. That's what research is. I can take, what do you want to measure? Give me something abstract.
Steve with his garden instead of his job.
Right, okay, so what is an abstract quality that might change if Steve is at his job versus playing with his plants?
His overall happiness.
Okay, so you want to measure happiness?
Fulfillment, yeah, whatever.
They're two different things, and there's two different measures for them.
Let's measure both of them.
Okay, so Steve is at his job, so he takes the positive and negative affective scale, PANAS. It measures your positive emotion and your negative emotion.
Okay.
There's something on quality of life and life satisfaction. There's a life satisfaction scale, I'm pretty sure. So he takes those things when he's at his job. He quits his job. Maybe he takes it again. Maybe the intervention is that he quits his job. So the pre-intervention is he's at his job. The intervention is he quits his job, so he takes it.
Are there studies like this?
Yes, it's pre- and post-interventions.
No, studies of somebody quitting their, like, we took N equals 289, and we took these people, and we got them to quit their job and work on a vegetable garden full-time instead.
I don't know if...
Something...
That would be very hard. Actually quitting your job, that would be super hard criteria. But,
I think that'd be super interesting.
Look it up. So, my point is, like, no, not, like, strictly economics, but there's a ton of different stuff that you could measure to get a concrete score. So, my happiness was a 2 here. Quit my job, maybe it's a 5. Start the vegetable garden, maybe it's an 8. Maybe it dips when you quit your job because you're stressed. Mm-hmm. And then maybe it skyrockets when you start your vegetable garden for whatever reasons.
Yeah. That's interesting. It'd be more natural.
The whole idea of research, well, that's a large statement. So no one hold me to this, but the whole, like, you know what operationalize means?
Like, systematize?
No.
Tell me that.
In research, when you have, especially in social science research, mm-hmm. you have these really abstract things like happiness, love.
Right.
Like, how do you measure those things, mm-hmm. right? That's always a question, and there are important things to study.
Right.
So there's processes that you have to go through as a researcher to be able to objectively measure those things. That process, once you conceptualize and kind of whittle down this definition of what it is happiness means to you for your study, you have to operationalize that definition to be able to measure it. So operationalizing something is giving it a definition that is, like, specific enough where you could look for markers or indicators to code that behavior to define your
it's the
variable.
essence of what I meant by systematize.
Okay. So, like, the on and off task behavior I was measuring for the soles of the feet study, the operational definition for on task behavior is looking at your assignment, actively engaged with your work, following class etiquette or the class expectation.
Right.
Off-task behavior was split up into active off-task and passive off-task. If you were out of your seat, if you were talking out of turn, making any sort of noises that were not appropriate for the classroom. So if you were huffing, yelling, swearing, verbal off task. Getting out of your seat was motor off task. Not being engaged with your work for more than 3 seconds. So say I'm supposed to be reading a book, and I'm here, 1, 2, 3, that's passive off task. So that was so clearly defined for us, so we knew what to look for and we could accurately measure the child's behavior.
Right.
That's operationalizing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, well, I could talk about this for a long time because I find it fascinating, but yeah. So anyway.
There's a weird trade-off. The more natural something is, the more simple it is, but it's, you lose the efficiency of scale. Like, it'd be more natural if we all hunted our own food, but we can't do that. Like, literally, there's not enough food out there to hunt.
Right, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, it doesn't scale.
Right.
So, it's like, how can you... It's almost like, how can you keep things as natural as possible? Like, the apex of maximum efficiency for maximum naturalness. You know what I mean?
Can I just tell you the thoughts I had in my head on that?
Tell me.
And after I say this, I kind of want to end the podcast as like a mic drop. I thought of, because what you just said about people hunting their own food is not scalable, it's not sustainable, because there's a ton of people on this planet, in this country.
Right.
So I thought of a clip of Dwight Schrute from The Office saying, "We need a new plague."
We need a new plague. It's called
and then I thought, fuck, that's coronavirus. But
yeah, maybe if we got like 100,000 people gone now, right?
I have no idea. It's not funny to joke about. It's someone's grandfather. You know, it's like.
Did you know Ari Shaffir, every time somebody famous dies, makes like a really shitty like jab joke about them and puts it on Twitter? And do you realize you just laughed at that?
Yeah, I know.
And you just told me we can't joke about coronavirus.
No, I didn't say we can't joke about it, did I? I said it's not funny.
Well,
I just don't want to.
That's the same thing.
I don't want to laugh at someone's expense. That's all.
You're not laughing at their expense.
I'm just.
They're not hurting more because you're laughing.
I'm just acknowledging that people are suffering around the world, and I don't want to.
You're very empathetic and virtuous.
I'm not trying to wave that flag.
I know you're not.
I'm being genuine.
I know you are. And so am I. And I don't wish death of coronavirus on anybody. But you can't tell me we can't laugh at that shit. Fair?
Yeah.
Deal.
I mean, I thought of it.
You did, you fucking sicko.
Need a new plague. Oh, well.
You want to wrap this thing up?
Yeah.
Deal. That was a good chat, dude.
Yeah, it was.
We'll have to do it again sometime. Let's see you around.
In the kitchen.
In the kitchen? There's a gender role joke there, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Bye.